Major freight rail companies and unions struck a, quote, tentative deal to avert a national rail strike on Thursday. President Biden said the deal is, quote, an important win for the economy and the American people. On the Senate floor Thursday, Senator Chuck Grassley voiced his support for a joint resolution that would, quote, mandate that both sides adopt the recommendations of President Biden's emergency board. And then, of course, if we pass that, the trains would keep running.
At 12:01 tomorrow morning, our nation's transportation system was set to come to a screeching halt. It now sounds like we have a bit of reprieve, but we still have a threat. Since 2019, railroads and unions have been negotiating a new contract. 2 months ago, President Biden appropriately appointed members of what's called the Presidential Emergency Board. This board recommended the largest pay increase in industry history at 24%, in addition to an annual bonus and health care changes. President Biden promised to be the most pro-union president in history. But even President Biden's recommendations weren't enough for these unions. A few unions continued to hold out and, in fact, took us on the verge of a nationwide strike. A railroad strike would really plunge us back into the supply chain issues that have just now started to somewhat improve. These trains that would be stopped actually carry the food we eat, the gas for our tanks, and the energy that heats our homes. Already, I'm hearing from grain elevator operators in my state that they're having trouble transporting their grain. Hazardous cargo, like the chlorine cities need to purify drinking water, stopped moving earlier this week. Amtrak has canceled long-distance routes. Maybe they're going to be up running now, but at least they were getting ready to stop. But what I just described is the tip of the iceberg unless these unions agree to a long-term deal. The last thing we need is for grain shipments to grind to a halt right as farmers are going to the fields to harvest their grain. Iowa corn and soybeans can't feed the world if they're stuck on the farm or in the local elevator. That's why I co-sponsored Senator Burns' joint resolution to prevent all this. The resolution would mandate that both sides adopt the recommendations of President Biden's emergency board, and then, of course, if we pass that, the trains would keep running. We're just learning about a tentative deal that would let unions back away from the cliff. If they don't, then Congress must step in and pass the joint resolution to keep our economy going. The alternative is unacceptable. I yield the floor.